Hey, what's up? Hey, let's see. Hold on. I didn't connect. Oh, there we go. Hey, what's going on, homie?
What up?
How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. A little tired, but I'm good. But
What's
I was, I
new?
was, I was excited about this topic though.
Hmm.
So I got to remember how I worded it because in retrospect, it can go so many different ways about the whole disability thing. So I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but is our disabilities as survivors handicapping us basically from living our life? So
Uh,
that can go in so many ways. So okay, so actually let's do something different. So when I say that, what do you look at that as? Like, so therefore it gives everybody a bigger outlet to look at it in so many different ways because there's so many different ways we can go about talking about this subject.
so for me, I went straight to mindset, right? So for me, it can be because I know when we were on with when Greg was on the ABM superhero, your mindset can limit. You know, for me, I'm a big believer that the mind can limit what the body is capable of. Like if your mind believes, then the body will follow.
Yeah.
So I do think that you can limit there can be limiting factors where you hold yourself back, or or allow your disability to hold you back, right? You know, and I was one of those people where I had limiting beliefs like, okay, because my leg will get tired, I can't play basketball, right? So I had to get over that, and it started with my mind. And then once I got over that thought and removed that thought from my mind, then I was able to then focus on doing the necessary work to get back out there. So my mindset shifted to, okay, I'm not going to allow my disability to hold me back from what I'm trying to achieve, which it can do. So that's where my mind went when you said that.
Okay, and okay, so we're on the same page. Definitely, I always look at it as the mindset. As I tell people when they told me I had a stroke, I was paralyzed on my left side. Instantly, my mindset was like, you don't know the God I serve, but I'm not about to be living the rest of my life paralyzed." And the reality and the great thing about that is because my mental state is always kind of being in that mode, like, oh, I nothing's gonna stop me. I can get up and make this happen. It may put you at a halt for a second, but it's not going to stop me. Stop at the same time. We got to understand when you look at the mindset, stop means stop, but it doesn't mean end. So
Right.
there's a difference between stop and an end. So guess what? Yes, I was stopped in my tracks for a second. So it goes that reminds me of something I always say, don't allow anybody else to tell your story. I was stopped for a moment. Yes, I had a stroke, paralyzed on my left side. So that stopped me for a moment as the reality of what my physicality was doing. But at the same time, because the reality of my mental state never allowed me to say, hey, I'm stopped or I'm stuck. I said, okay, you told me I can't move, but I'm about to show you that I can. So because the mental state that I had to say, my faith was so much bigger, God didn't bring me this far to say, hey, I'm going to let a stroke come and paralyze you and say, hey, you can't move no more for the rest of your life. You're going to be on a wheelchair. You're going to be able to walk. First of all, and I always laugh every time I think about it, I can operate in a wheelchair, and I dang sure couldn't operate with the walker or cane because
Oh no.
my brain wouldn't allow me. I'm not even a sit down person. I'm always up on my feet, always on the go. Like I go somewhere and be like, have a seat. I'm more comfortable standing up. That's just how I've always been. So for you to tell me you're paralyzed on your left side, you may not be able to walk. Okay, yeah, that ain't gonna happen, bro. I'm gonna show. Listen, if I had to invent a new way to walk being paralyzed, I was gonna do it because to have to sit down the rest of my life, yeah, my mind instantly shifted away from there. So when we look at the mindset, but the whole physical aspect too, I can say for myself, it was a lot, I guess I would say, easier for me in the sense that I've trained my body a certain way for so long. So for many years from high school, and I mean, I was one of the rebellious kids. Even in high school, I played sports, but I was rebellious as I did the sports how I wanted to. So I took that from that level and then went to the next level as to say, hey, now I do this for a living, that I am a physical trainer. I save people's life for a living. And then for you to tell me, doctor, that I possibly could have lost my life and I'm just going to throw everything away right here and say, hey, I give it up. No. And that's why I was like, okay, yeah, you're saying this, but I cannot allow any of this to settle into my head to say, hey, this is the end of the life, or this is the end of the road for me. So yes, the doctor says this, but doctor, you don't determine my story. as, hey, this is just a part of my story. Let me show you how we're going to rewrite this. We're going to rewrite the entire thing to say, hey, this happened, but it's not the end. So take a break. And saying that to go for any survivor that's on here listening today or listening later, the situation you're in now does not mean that's the situation you'll be in always. So that's where you are now. It's not at all. It's not where you're going to, you have to live the rest of your life. So yes, today, you may still be in a wheelchair. Today, you may still have your affected side pretty much putting you at a halt from moving and doing the things that you used to do prior to, but that does not mean it's not going to change tomorrow. And with that mindset and the change of how we look at our situation, yes, this is where we are now, but tomorrow is another day. The next day is another day. Next week, next month is another day. And for myself and Ty, as we always say, we get on here, this didn't happen overnight for us. It took time. And even still today, we're both 4 years post-stroke. We're still learning things every single day with everything we do, from talking to people, connecting with different survivors, just in reality, as Ty getting back into basketball, me getting back on stage, things like that. I'm learning new ways to even move my body. So it's all these things that it's a constant process, a constant learning phase. So then I'm going to take a step back to say, if I did not have that mentality to say, hey, this is just a halt, and allow my disability, as we know, and I generally don't even say it, to allow my affected side to say, hey, it works when it wants to, or it's just the whole process of everything that happens to the affected side is, but I'm very vocal with it. Yo, today my hand ain't working. Today my foot ain't working. It is worse when I'm tired and things like that. So all these things you got to take in retrospect when you're looking at where you are now from where you came from, when you're dealing with something as a serious injury as such like that. As if I was to take that and say, hey, it's not working how I want it to all the time, I would allow that to set it into my mind and say, hey, I can't step on stage again. I can't do this, or I can't go out. I can't live life. Whether we have, and survivors are young, or all of these ages. So basically, it's like, because I'm not where I used to be, I can't live life, and I gotta put myself in this basket. I gotta put myself in this situation to say I can't live anymore. So I want us to look at it in all ways. When you're getting on here to say, we're trying to talk about the fact that we can still live in spite of, I got on stage, I still got issues, I still have balance issues, things like that. But at the same time, that doesn't put me at a halt, that does not put me at a stop to say I can't do it. Ty took it to the next level and said, yo, I had issues. If he allowed his mindset to say my vision and XYZ isn't as great as it was, he wouldn't have been able to get back on the basketball court. So all these different avenues I want you to look at. So now I'm throwing the ball back to you, Ty.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, I stopped looking at it from what I can't do, and then I realized what I'm able to do. So now, from my experience, I'm more in tune with my body, which I wasn't before. So I know I experienced like issues prior to having to go to the hospital, which I just didn't recognize because I'm like, okay, I'm just always going to go and go. So the good thing that I take from it is that, okay, I'm now able to recognize when I need rest or when I need to like not do something, as opposed to pushing myself. So for me, again, it's all about the mindset. And I always try to look at what I learned from this. So my priority shifted, right? I wasn't as spiritual as you were before this happened. So then when it happened, like now I can start saying like, okay, this happened is not like God's delay is not a denial, right? So my story is what's supposed to happen was just delayed, because honestly, if it was, a stop, I think life would have just ended, right? So it's just, it's just a delay on what I'm supposed to do, a rerouting. Clearly I was going down the path that not to say I was doing anything bad, but I was doing something that God didn't really want me to do, and had to shift my focus. My mom was like, it's like football, right? God is the quarterback, and it's like, you got to run the route, but if you're not paying attention, you're not going to run the right route. He throws the ball, you're not going to be there. So it's like, okay, I need you to be where I need you to be. So if you're not paying attention, yes, he has to get your attention somehow. Like, I know when you're a kid, right? How your parents get your attention? They might pop you or something like that, right? And I mean, back in the day, of course, I know all kinds of stuff is different now. You get a parent put in jail or something, but yeah, that's how parents they might raise their voice, and it's like, if you're not listening, especially if you're spiritual, okay, how else? I gotta take away what you were looking at the most, which was basketball. And I was like, okay, like that's what I thought my life was. And like I told my friend like the other day, he was like, "Yo, man, you are always, you know, destined for greatness or whatever." And I was like, I thought it was going to come from basketball. And so it was like clearly it wasn't supposed to come from basketball. But once I realized that, God was like, "Okay, I'm gonna hand it back to you and allow you to play, and you just got to work for it."
Yes, I love it. No, I love everywhere you're going with that whole thing. And first of all, your mama's a genius. When you said that football thing, first, God is our quarterback.
Yeah.
If we look at it that way, and for anybody, if you look at any situation you're in right now, we all may have in our mind set to say, hey, we're going to do this, I'm going to be this, I'm going to take this to this level. Actually, I'm thankful when you look at it that way. I'm thankful that God set me down for a second. As you said, you didn't look at things as before. You keep going. Me, I never knew what a tired was. There was no take a rest, take a break, listen to your body. And as you said, there were things prior to even something as simple as a headache that I had a week before. But I'm a person that never has headaches, never have any issues, and I keep going. I completely ignored it. When I tell you now, if I feel anything, I'm like, bruh, let me sit back, let me analyze my body, let me call somebody like, yo, this a headache is not normal. This isn't normal. So I look at every single thing now. So, and I'm not saying that to say people should be scared, but it's for a person like myself and yourself, as you just said. I would say God needed to make me more aware of my surroundings, aware of the things that He's trying to say to me. Wow, man, okay, listen. That could be a whole with reality. How the thought that just came to my head. God trying to make me more aware of my surroundings, but at the same time, it took me to the thought process of God saying, "Listen to me," and we open our eyes, we open our ears. God could have been, and likely has been seen all along. As the great thing about this, that I'm everything, and my brain is doing one of these right now, so that's why I can come on this. As yes, I've always been in the fitness world, always. So I went from, I would say prior to, at one point I would say I'm just a personal trainer, one day I was a nutrition coach. So I had all these different titles from chef, but then I started going around with the whole thing as I'm not just one of any of those. I'm a well all around with everything. So yes, I could say health and wellness advocate, all of these things, but at the same time, I still had this one thought of avenue where I was going and where I thought God wanted me to go with it. With Him putting me at a halt, it says, hey, you are still in this, but there was a whole nother community of survivors that you never knew anything about, and that I put this gift inside of you to take it to the next level. So this gift of everything I gave you, from being a chef, being a trainer, being a nutrition, health, and what all these things God has given me this gift for, but He said, I just need to reroute you. So this gift I gave you, yes, you're supposed to follow this path here, but I need to reroute you to understand that there is a greater calling for the gifts that I gave you. So right. Yes, my disability, in a sense, gave me an insight to say, hold on, God is talking to me and God is trying to shift me. So using my disability and my stroke and my affected side as a reshifting, in a sense that I'm accepting where God is putting me. I'm accepting that God has been by my side every single day. So when the stroke happened, God has never left my side. Where the path that He's taking me on now, reaching different community aspects that I would have never. And I can say that because honestly, prior to me having a stroke, people reach out and say, hey, would you help people for rehabilitation, XYZ? I'll be the first one like, oh, I only take athletes, so I only take body like that. And actually, that's what I did. Because in my mindset was, I would have to slow down what I'm doing to take somebody to help them rehabilitation stage. And because my mind was always on the go, to slow down, I really didn't know what slow down meant. So God had to say, yeah, you don't know what slow down means.
So I'm gonna show you.
Let me slow you down real fast, baby. So when I say the Lord said, let me slow you down, and I didn't really, even after my stroke, and even when I couldn't move, my family would be like, bro, sit down. I was still fighting like, no, I'm not sit down. Or I would still be fighting like, my body is telling me to go to sleep. Like, it took me a minute. Like, I would be mad. Like, I can't stay awake. I can't sit it, like, because that was a fighting part of me, because I'm always on the go. So it was constantly like, and I constantly had to keep saying like, dang, the Lord keeps slapping me in my face. The moment I got to move again, it was like I was moving too fast. God was like, hey, guess what? The doctor about to tell you got another situation. Yeah. I kept going back to the hospital. I don't tell people, but and I'm like, another situation? I ain't never had no health issue. Now you got to have another surgery. Then I got better and said, okay, now, hey, y'all, I'm back. I opened my gym back up. guess what? You still moving too fast. Here go another surgery. Let me break your foot. I'm like, man. So it's a process that he kept on. So I really had to take a step back, take a heart for a second to say, look, let me look at this. Hey, so my disability did not alter my life in a sense to say, hey, I can't live anymore. It slowed me down to say, let's look at every aspect of my life, what I was doing, where I'm supposed to be going, and where I'm going from here. So look at it, it allowed me to look at the greater good of all things, from helping myself recover to understanding how to help others. So the reality being, if I didn't go through this, I necessarily would not have had the understanding to help others, because I was always moving fast. Like, to help others, like I said, to slow down, no, I can't help you do that, because I need to pick up and I need to throw weight around. Right. Now I had to take a step back, and it gave me another empathetic path to say, hey, wait, I do know how to do this, because I did it for myself. Prior to, I know how to beat myself up and put myself back together. But then I had to go through the simple fact of you had to go through with the rehabilitation from not being able to do absolutely nothing as an adult. So wait a minute. Oh, I do know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I literally went back. Like, I remember I got calls like, hey, this person that you asked me about maybe 2 years ago, do you think they still need help? Yes. And literally, I started reversing my tracks and said, hey, I can help you now. And they're like, oh, wow, you do that? Yeah, I do.
Right.
So everything was, listen, a blessing in disguise, and it was just me opening my eyes and listening and say, hey, let me take this you gave me, God, and I'm going to use it to my ability, not as a disability, to my ability to advance and still following the path that you wanted me to follow and keep moving.
Right. And what I would say is, like, I know we probably have unique, like, mindsets, right? So for people who don't, it doesn't click that easy, what I would say is all on how you perceive yourself, right? So I never perceive myself as disabled, though. Even never, when I couldn't operate a fork in my left hand and I'm left-handed, I never saw myself as disabled. So it's how you perceive yourself, which allows you to your level of thinking. So if you perceive yourself as disabled, yeah, your disability is going to limit you, right? So I never really saw myself as disabled. It's like, okay, I just got to work against this, whether my arm came back or not, right? It's like, hey, all right, my mindset was, I'll just be right-handed, you know, right? So I'll just be right-handed. I'll just learn how to do it with my right hand. So I never saw myself as disabled. So how do you not view yourself as disabled? You got to get in the mirror and you got to love yourself, right? So this is what it is, right? This is the cards that you were dealt. You can't, I mean, yes, be empathetic with yourself, but you got to love yourself, you know, no matter what stage or phase that you're in. You got to love where you are, right? You know, I get it. One day we were all better. It was, you know, we didn't know things like this existed or could happen to us, right? But then it happened. So it's like, okay, what do? Do I just fold and crumble and it's like, you know, life is over? Or do I figure out what I can do, right? Now, before, it's like, I'm only going to play basketball. Now the weather is about to break here. I'm about to go be on a golf course in somebody's batting cage in somebody's boxing gym. Like, you know, just learning different things, because that's just how I see it. Learning different things is going to help my body to adapt again, right? So it's just how you really perceive it. So at the end of the day, I can still do it, because I never viewed myself as disabled. I even had a hard time, like, in the airport when they're like, people with disabilities can board first. I'm like,
I ain't never.
Yeah. I mean, I do it now because I'm like, all right, you know, let me get this out the way, because I don't feel like, you know, standing around, whatever. But I don't, though I have a disability, I don't view myself as disabled. There's a difference, right? You know, it's like a car, right? The check engine light is on, but the car still runs. It's not broken down. It's not broken down. It just, you know, it just needed a little love and maintenance, and you got to take care of it. It's like a flat tire, right? You don't say, let me go get a whole new car because I got a flat tire. You say, okay, I'm going to fix this tire. I'm going to put the donut on there, and we're going to operate on the donut or whatever, right? But you don't say, I'm going to go get a new car because I got a flat tire. Just like this, right? You got to, this happened, right? So you have to learn to re-love yourself, right? So I'm sure you love getting up in the mirror before your event happened, whatever it is. You're like, hey, I look at myself, okay, man, cool. Like, Now it's like I know you get in the mirror like, who is this person? This isn't me, and you have to work through that in order to realize, hey, your arm might not work, but you're not, your disability does not make you fully disabled, right? You can still, there are things that you can still do. There are therapists out there that help to try to adapt. So, there's always something that can be done. You just have to be adaptable and flexible, like my therapist told me yesterday.
I was just about to say, somebody told you that, because I know somebody told me that. You got to learn how to be adaptable and flexible. And that's a great note we're going to leave on. Learning how to be adaptable and flexible, and then learning how to love yourself in spite of. Again, because you may have a situation, and it was even hard for me to say disability, so I would always say you may have a situation, but at the same time, that does not define you. Yes, having a stroke is one of the number one debilitating factors in the world to leave a person disabled, but your mind, your body, your whole being is not disabled. So your life does not have to completely end. Your life may be at a halt with different situations that you were doing before, but let's take the time to learn how to reprocess everything. And I'm gonna say, as Ty just left off with, if your vehicle has a flat tire, your car, so you're not going to throw your car away. What you're going to do is you're going to reshift. You're going to put your hazards on and get over to the slow lane until you can fix that. So the same thing was happening with our lifestyle. Until we can get our full, proper abilities back to walk, talk, and do other things on our own, we got to slow it down. So we're taking a step to slow it down a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're still breathing, so it's for us to still live. Because as a survivor, it's just a halt. And as he said, if we were supposed to, if that was in, guess what? We wouldn't be survivors. We had a stroke and we passed. So we still here today.
Right.
Kyle, you want to leave on anything
Just
else?
remember to love yourself, be kind to yourself, and love yourself no matter what, right? Because if you don't do it for yourself, who will, right? It starts with you. So if you expect to receive love from other people, you have to love yourself first. So if you don't want to be viewed as disabled, or people to see that your disability slows you down, you have to believe, okay, this doesn't slow me down. So I'm gonna just leave with that. It's all in your mindset, and love yourself.
I appreciate y'all. We will see y'all next Tuesday, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, homie, as always, and we'll catch y'all next week.
All right.